Hello again. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about my alchemy in action. Been working with anger. Like, yeah, with honoring my anger and allowing my anger and being open to receiving and holding my anger like a mother would hold her child, bringing that attention and that love and reception. Um, Allowing and knowing that there is suffering, but also feeling the desire to relieve the suffering or just to be with the suffering. And that's compassion, and that is passion too. And so it's the pain that we have to carry is ours, that's ours to carry. And it's kind of a willingness to carry it in certain ways um, so that we can bring it into the light, and we can alchemize and transmute and receive the gifts of love that suffering and that experience of suffering can teach us about what it is to be human, what it is to have empathy and patience and allowance and understanding for ourselves and others. So compassion is huge for me. I've always been a compassionate being and very sensitive to others' pain and just to the thought of someone else being in pain. Sometimes, I feel very, very, very compassionate, for others, because I've experienced a lot of pain in my life. And I realized too, a couple years ago, that I could extend that compassion to me. I was willing, to extend it to all others, but I didn't realize how I was withholding it from myself. And so that was one thing that totally shifted a lot for me. And then working with Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion, the Avalokitesvara. Sorry, some of these words, it's totally okay though. It's more the intention of it than anything. And so got to let go of that. But yeah, the Bodhisattva that has awakened and has so much compassion for all that they're drawn to participate joyfully in the sorrows of the world and know that there is suffering and have the desire to serve to relieve that suffering, or just to honor what we get to honor, through that experience of suffering, because those things teach us so much. There's so much gold in there if we can meet ourselves with love and understand the source of our pain and the source sometimes of others' pain. It's related, what we're seeking is seeking we. And so that's one other thing to remember is anything that we need, that thing is searching for us too, because it needs us. So it's a reciprocal thing. So we can invite, the things and the love into our lives that we need, and open the space to receive them and be willing to offer them to ourselves. Yeah, and receive them for ourselves, and then we can share them. And so that's a pretty cool little process of exchange. Being willing to receive it, inviting it, and being open to receive it, and also giving ourselves permission to receive it. So offering it to ourselves fully, and the permission to receive it, and then to free it in certain ways, so we don't have to say exactly how it has to look or be or seem. Freeing up all of that energy so it can be fully received. So that makes a little bit of sense, and I'm sure if it doesn't, on the surface, it will go to work on your subconscious and it'll plant some seeds, because that's how things work too. Sometimes we don't quite understand, or in certain ways, the messages that are being conveyed, but that's okay. We all have our different ways of interpreting and perceiving things, and it's just really cool how it just kind of works itself out in certain ways anyways. So through all ways. But I wanted to continue, talking about anger. And like anger is a lot, for a lot of us, like difficult, because we've been taught like not to express anger, or that it's not okay to be angry or to feel angry with someone because we're going to hurt their feelings, or because it's not going to be pleasing, or because it's like bitchy or whatever. It's been, like just kind of misrepresented because it's a powerful emotion, and it's like, it is like a huge part of our energy. So sometimes, that huge part of our energy is being suppressed or blocked because we're scared of it, or we don't know how to direct it or channel it or express it in healthy ways, or like, like in ways that just like discharge certain disempowering currents. So really all energy is current, it's currency, it's our power to be. And so it's kind of funny, like sometimes we have energy leaks in certain places because our energy's been tangled up or not being directed in empowering ways and in conscious ways. Sometimes we turn our anger against ourselves, and that's like manifests as depression and like suicidal ideation and self-harm and self-destructive programming, those kinds of things. And so just having compassion for like how we've learned to direct our anger, because we really didn't know what else to do with it except for turn it on ourselves or each other. And like we can actually use it, like, and it is a gift to use, but respect it too, and be aware of the power like that we do have. And like there's more power in restraint and like refraining from lashing out than there is in like going full kick-ass on someone, So it's like up to us to hone like our instincts and be aware and master ourselves, master our energy and how we choose to direct it, and like ask to see how to direct it in creative and authentic ways that are empowering and that are like constructive. And sometimes we do need to destruct. Sometimes it's right. We need to destruct or deconstruct. The tower needs to collapse sometimes, to fall down, so that we have a clean slate to build a new foundation on and build new structures with integrity that are built on inclusivity and integrity. So there's those things to look at. So there's a lot of good and a lot of gold that's come from this quarantine, because like I'm such an easygoing person. Like a lot of the time there's like not a lot that will really get my goat. Like I can just be like, whatever, they're just doing their thing and I'm doing mine, and like really it's not a big deal a lot of the time, like for certain things. But like this situation actually brought up like a lot of triggers, because there is just so much chaos and just or misdirected energy like coming up, to be seen. So it was like really great to be able to start to pay attention to those things that held a charge, and that misdirected currency or leaking energy. Resources, our energy like comes in all forms, and it's kind of just really cool to see like that we do have resources that we maybe haven't seen, and some of those resources are from above and some of those resources are from below, and like from the mundane and the magical, and like all of that above and below. And just calling on our resources. So ask. It can be helpful to ask. It can be helpful to ask questions, all sorts of questions. Like remember when we were children and we wanted to know about everything, we're curious about everything, we ask questions about everything, drove our parents nuts probably sometimes. But like, can we like invite that child, that curiosity back in again, to see the world with new eyes, and to ask questions, and to ask to see our resources, and ask to see what we can invite, claim, and bring in, and call on, and draw from. So there's, a lot in that, like looking and exploring that. What are my resources, and what are the resources that I haven't been honoring, or what are the resources that I haven't seen, or what are the resources that I've taken for granted, or, any of that, like the resources that I can use more fully or honor more completely. And so there's a lot there. But I love writing, because writing really does, like, I've always loved writing, but more so in the last couple of years. I've filled up over probably like 50 journals in the last couple of years. Like, it's been wild. Like, just so much was wanting to come through and be expressed, because so much had been repressed and oppressed and suppressed. So it's just a great way for me to check in with me, and then help me remember what I want to create, and what I want to choose, what I want to claim, and who I want to be. And so it really does help me sort out different things as well. And it is such a creative thing. And sometimes it doesn't have to be anything. It just gets to be a bunch of words strung together. And sometimes it ends up being so profound and so beautiful. And that's when it's simple too, because the wisdom is simple. Like a child could understand. It's so simple. It's just sometimes we make it complex. Or there's so many different connections and correspondences that we kind of create a complex. So it's just kind of funny that way. Inviting the child that is curious and open and trusting to all things, to bring her in to help us see different things, and see things like art. King Arthur and Merlin see things. Merlin's a seeing aspect in all of us. And so, if you want to go look into those archetypes, like the child and the king archetype, there's the emperor, and the seer, the wizard, the magician. The magician, number one, the magician in the tarot. How that's the commander of the elements, and that can be a representation of our lower ego, our lower self, or it can be the representation of our higher self and our gatekeeper to consciousness. And it's really cool how all these archetypes work together in so many cool ways, and just mind-blowing. I started looking at the archetypes a couple years ago, and just from here and there, gathering and weaving different pieces together. I can't even tell you how much that has brought me, how many insights, and how much wisdom, and really amazing knowledge that it helps me to process and digest and assimilate and receive and work with. And so, if anyone feels drawn to the archetypes and stuff, maybe I will do a series of videos on what I know and what I've learned. If you guys want to hear more about how we work with those aspects of ourselves, those energies. So they're really, really powerful and really amazing, and one of the most fun ways to play too, to play with this and see what character's playing this, and what script is playing, what script are they acting off of, and it's just it is a stage and a play. And so that's just one of the awesome things about life and about God. It's God loves to play, and God's playing all these parts, and playing all these parts through us, playing all these parts through me, all these different parts, and then all these different parts through the collective, all of us. And it's so funny how we all get to play with each other, and we play with ourselves. And we just create all of these different stories, and it's just so funny to see. So Yeah, if that sounds like, something fun, I would love to talk with any of you about more of that and how we can bring play more into our lives for discovery and exploring and healing and creating new ways of being. So, I just want to share with you guys, I was writing a couple weeks ago when I was still kind of working with my anger, the anger that would come up, and it just seemed there was so many different charges to different things, and as one thing came up and I paid attention to it and transmuted it or alchemized or neutralized it or realized, oh, okay, that's what I'm angry about, and still was willing to work with it. Okay, I'm angry about this, and that's okay that I'm angry. Let's see, what this anger's asking me to see, and I'll be willing to work with the anger and know that the anger's right for me. And yeah, just working in all these ways, when things came up that triggered me, because it was a lot of stuff that I'm normally not triggered by in certain ways, but it was time for these different parts to come up, for the pot to be stirred, and things to come up to the surface and then be seen in the light of illumination, where they wanted to be included and integrated, and reintegrated, and reclaimed, and renamed, reframed. So, April 9th, I wrote, "Why does the manipulation and deception irk me so much? Less tolerance for bullshit? Or is there something more to this? That's what really hooks me sometimes and locks me into opposition with the dark side. I get so angry and irritated by the exploitation and the enslavement, the disrespect, the greed, the selfishness, the domination and control, coercion, big steaming pile of hot mess this is. So where can I be more true, allowing, honest, full? How can I balance this or integrate this part of me that I'm so very angry with? I know it's also neutral and a part of the whole. Without deception and mistruths, we wouldn't learn the true value of truth and discernment, and claiming our own power to develop our strengths and honor our limitations that are our future strengths that have yet to be claimed, known, or realized fully and reframed." And then, so yeah, I was really trying. And then I had written this little thing just because it felt like it was something that wanted to be expressed and written to help me, and just acknowledging all that I was feeling, willing to work with it and play with it with creativity. I'm feeling afraid, hesitant but brave. I'm feeling a mix of emotions that rise and fall like ocean waves. I'm feeling compassionate empathy. I'm feeling righteous rage. I'm feeling hopeful, generous, allowing. I'm feeling fed up and overwhelmed. I'm feeling sad, conflicted, joyful. I'm feeling it all in little waves, and then the energy rises and it dissipates. Can I make the room, clear the space, let go of my fears of losing face, or of being wrong, or not enough, or just too much, or not right enough? Yes, I do feel a bit defensive. What is asking to be seen? What is asking to be allowed to be? What wants to be expressed? What wants to be received? What wants to be included? What wants to be retrieved? What wants to be heard? What wants to be freed? Please help me free my mind from the burden of false identity. Please help me open to all the possibilities. Please help me embody love and generosity. Please help me release all that doesn't serve me and we. Please help me be a blessing. Please help me with my mission. Please help me clear my vision. Please help me be authentic. Please help me be full, whole, well, true, free. Please help me to be the love I need, the love you've given me to be, the love I am for all of me and we, the love I get to be as me, part of this great family of one, all, and many. I surrender all these things and open to the many blessings, lessons, gifts, and opportunities to grow, live, become, unfold, create, embody, and generate all this love for me and we. So that's just so simple, but there's a lot of gold in there, and yeah, a lot of good things, a lot of good questions. So that's one thing. that I decided I want to choose to be open to is more questions. Like, I want to ask more questions. I want to question, I want to be able to ask questions, because maybe questions are that space where it's like inviting someone to express something or to share something. And so, yeah, could probably look more into that and see more into that. But so questions, like questioning ourselves, like instead of always telling ourselves, oh, it's this and it's that, maybe we could ask more questions to see what else is and what else could be, and also like, yeah, ask ourselves more questions and being willing to like open to certain questions being asked. And so I started asking more questions, instead of like telling people, like what I thought or whatever. I just ask questions like, what do you think? And like that does change like the style of communication a lot of times if we're willing to ask questions, and then we're not making assumptions because we're asking questions so we can seek clarity. Yeah, it's like one of the 4 agreements, like don't make assumptions. And so really, yeah, that was the opportunity to practice that agreement in more full ways. Where am I making assumptions? And what am I making assumptions about, and why? And like, yeah, because sometimes there's agendas on making assumptions because we want things to fit into our perspective or the way that we view things, or our little box of how we construct our reality. And so it's kind of just funny to look at those things. So also, yeah, I took my own challenge to be open to relating in the neutral space, like, and it was a little tricky to navigate too, because sometimes it's like easy to say, okay, I can let go of being right or being wrong or whatever, but then when it comes down to it, sometimes little things come into play, like with little power struggles or dynamics that we have in certain relationships, and it's just like, yeah, taking accountability and mastering that energy. And so yeah, just being willing to be wrong, like totally. That was just kind of funny, like, and it's okay to be wrong. Like sometimes we're wrong and sometimes we're right, and then that's like just we learn, and like no big deal. Like, okay, we were mistaken. Okay, we learned from that mistake. And like sometimes it's just like such a blow to our ego. Oh my God, I was wrong. Because I mean, like, what if the script, one of the disempowering scripts that's been running is that we're so wrong, and so we can't ever like be seen as wrong, because and everybody will know we're just totally wrong. But like, it's just kind of a silly mind trap, and like, yeah, this is something to look at anyways. But being willing to be wrong too, like, and then being willing to be open to having my own beliefs challenged, because yeah, I don't think that's, in a lot of ways, like for a lot of my beliefs, I don't really care like what anyone else thinks about it. There's no reason I need to defend what I believe, like in certain ways, because it's just like, yeah, I'm secure in that, and it's like, yeah, I'm comfortable. It can be threatened, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, that's about you, not about me. But like, there are like certain beliefs that I do have that I realized that I was really sensitive about, like them being challenged or threatened, and I got to see that, and I didn't see that before, like, because I thought like, oh, I'm pretty open and I could be challenged. But then I saw like where I was challenged, and I was like, oh, like kind of got into a little bit of reactivity for a second, and then I realized it, like, and was able to course correct, like, okay, just seeing, like, being aware of like certain archetypal strategies sometimes to keep certain patterns in play. Gotta be on your toes sometimes, or just like be willing to see it when it happens, or yeah, when it comes up for us to see, or when we're able to see it. And then we can course correct and or be with it and kind of follow the story to see, where it leads and what is asking to be seen or honored and reclaimed or released, So I hope that helps. So have an alchemy challenge. What beliefs can we be okay? Can we be okay with someone challenging or threatening our beliefs? And still come from a place of neutrality and seek understanding instead of being defensive, wasting our energy, trying to protect ourselves that way when our beliefs, it's kind of funny. Some of those are inherited, some of those are adopted, some of those are formulated because of certain experiences. But sometimes we don't even know where some of them have come from. So it's kind of interesting to explore that. And so if they are true, why do we need to defend them so much? Because the truth stands on its own. The truth just is. And so, if we're, supporters of truth, and we know that the truth can help set us free, and the truth will always be, and the truth can be seen if we ask, to see what's true. And why do we need to hold on or cling to certain things so tightly? So that's just one thing. Surrendering and being able to suspend our beliefs. And I can do that totally on my own when I'm doing my own inner work, when I want to explore things but it's been a little bit more tricky to put into practice or to navigate in certain relationships too, and just in various relationships. So it's awesome practice to be able to start to relate in those ways where you don't have the filter or the medium or the block of that belief in the way, to be able to receive and be present with the other in my relationship. So just learning new ways to be able to understand and relate and communicate with others through letting go of the opposition that's held in those opposing beliefs. So just being open and really being mindful too of knowing that other people get really uncomfortable too, when their beliefs are challenged and threatened, or when they feel they need to protect themselves. And seeing how I was so upset in the first couple weeks, or the last couple weeks actually, of March, and how I was a little bit, a little pushy with certain things because I felt the urgency for people to be aware and to know certain things. And I realized too that creates some pushback. And so that was lessons. There's been really good lessons in discernment and understanding how to direct and offer things, and let go of certain agendas that I have, but I wouldn't have been able to see those certain things or get those lessons, if I wouldn't have allowed myself the permission to make mistakes and just to explore things and just to play with things. So grateful for those lessons. And I did ask for help to be able to communicate with others who had different beliefs and more open and loving and relatable ways. And I actually, I got those. I got so many of those in the last 2 days with different people, and like it's kind of funny when we ask for stuff and how it just shows up, because like attracts like too, and whoever holds that corresponding or that like energy like pops up in our space, like to help us with that. And it's just kind of funny like how it all works, and how we all reflect each other. We reflect and absorb the light, so I just wanted to show you guys the soul collage card. I don't know if you can see it with the glare, but yeah, that was one of the first soul collage cards I've ever made, and it's my light and my dark in harmony. But yeah, I didn't know like how profound this card was until a little while after I made it, and I wrote like a huge piece about it a couple years ago, and it was about my wild child and my pure girl, and both of them wanted to be able to be themselves and express themselves, but didn't know like how to do it without being torn apart. And so like I've been integrating those aspects, my wild child and my pure girl, because like I had such different perceptions and different ideas about who I really was. Like I could identify more with the wild child in a lot of ways, because I'm a rebel at heart, and like that's just one of the dominant archetypes in my blueprint, is the rebel, to go against the system and the status quo and the stuff that isn't working, like, and it's just old. Yeah, so that's like one part of my personality that's here to help me like buck the system, or to kind of help me stand strong in my fuck off attitude sometimes when I need to. And that is like, I appreciate her for for holding that for me, like, and me being able to draw on that strength and that energy. But also like I have this really soft, innocent, pure side too that is a huge part of me, because I've always had a deep love for the sacred and for children and for all beings and all life. And like I just kind of I know that part of me. I know that part of me in my heart. But like in certain ways there was kind of overlying scripts and programs like kind of telling me I wasn't worthy, and I wasn't like good enough, or I wasn't pure enough like to have that pure, innocent love. And like I realized all that all those were lies, because I am that. I am all of that. And like that purity and that innocence and that devotion is who I really am too. And that's like beautiful to see, like where just as I am, that purity lives in me, and that innocence and that vitality and that like integrity is there, and she's alive, and she loves me, and she she loves all of me, and she wants to be loved, through my loving me. And so like she's a really strong, soft part of me, like that knows like the innocence and can see the light in myself and in others too. And so like she's legitimate, and my wild child, my wild girl, is legitimate too. And they're all it's all legit parts, that want to be honored and reclaimed and like renamed, like, unnamed. Really. But just with the archetype of innocence, like, and purity, that's like the archetype of the child, or the devotee that loves truth, wisdom, beauty, goodness, justice, all those things, all those virtues. And one of my companions, my totems that I work with, is the unicorn. I mean, who doesn't love magical, unicorns, purity and innocence and that strength, And so that unicorn like reminds me, and it shows up as a male archetype though, like the Christos, like unconditional love, Christ's love. And that's like what what that part of, represents to me, that ally, that guardian, that companion. It's so gentle and so loving, and like just helps me remember like that purity and that innocence of who I really am. And like, yeah, that's like a huge ally to have and to honor, yeah, and to free and to receive. See what else, if there's anything else we want to share about alchemy. And yeah, so it was funny, the dream I had on March 1st about like kind of all of us and on social media, on our platforms on social media. So in a way it reflects like the collective in certain ways, and in a way it's like all about my like inner collective. So I got to see how like in communicating with others in certain ways, like about certain divisive topics, or like these things that are kind of becoming like divide and conquer kind of things, like that are separating like some of us from each other because of like certain stances that like we choose to take, like it can put us into opposition. And so I was just wondering, like, yeah, how do we do this? Because we've never really learned how to do this in certain ways. And just like from that dream, like some of the like themes that were going on there, like where there's a lot of us that were like feeling self-important or self-righteous, being martyrs or victims, or in certain stories not quite aware of what was triggering us, but like in certain ways we were, but not all the way. And it was just kind of funny how it was so right on about so many things. And I got to see where I was being self-righteous, where my self-righteous was blinding me in certain ways, because I was so angry. And that was really cool to be able to see it in those ways. I also got to see where I was demonstrating false humility in certain ways, and then I was able to correct that, like, and just like, yeah, just paying more attention, like, and getting these huge lessons in discernment of how I'm using my energy, my emotional energy, which is my creative energy. And like, if it's sourced from like creativity, or if it's sourcing from the body of pain. And so those are good things to look into as well. So yeah, just tripping out about it. But I did get to, I got to take my own advice, and like I got to admit where I was wrong in certain ways, like, or where I was mistaken. And it wasn't like a big deal as like my ego thought it was gonna be. I think like just being willing to say, okay, yeah, you're right and I was wrong, and like no big deal. And then the energy's freed up, and then we can recall whatever misdirected energy was sent out and like call it back to us, and offer it back in service to the whole. And that like is just so cool. Like when we can do that, how much more like we can receive, and how much more clarity and understanding and like continuing momentum like on our path of awakening. Like, so that's really freaking awesome. Really great lessons in alchemy. And also like being called to show up in like just share in vulnerability and authenticity, because like it's something that I want to create is transparency. And just play around with those words a little bit. Transparency, like being my own mother, father, child, so to transform like things. So rather than like being stuck in confusion and illusion, I would like to choose like transparency and authenticity. So, but there are certain times too when camouflage and strategy come in handy. And so like gonna work with that too, like because I do want to be like totally as honest and direct and like honoring as I can. But I know in certain ways, like certain things require discernment to be delivered in certain ways at certain times. And so I'm willing to like, yeah, receive more insight and more lessons with those things. And yeah, discerning and learning like what to offer. And where it's sourcing from. Is it sourcing from a place of love, or is it sourcing from a place of an ego agenda to protect or defend or prop up my, my little self? So, like, those are good, all good things to like just be aware of, and to just to see how energy has been like created or directed, and how and what it creates. So, yay! Thanks for joining me and listening, and I hope you're all doing well. And like, if you have any stories about alchemy, or if you have any questions for me, or you want to talk about anything, hit me up. Let me know. Okay, take care of your beautiful selves. See you later.